Hey guys, welcome back to more political chatter. Today we will be talking about the disaster approval rating of Donald Trump. The Economist, the magazine, has given us a approval tracker for Donald Trump's presidency, and it is still months into his presidency, it is still going downhill for him. We have had multiple points where it seems like he is at his lowest. He will not get any lower than this, and he manages to do so. Just look at this graph because it really is stunning. When you compare it, as The Economist gives us, they compare it to other presidents around this time. So Donald Trump started at an approval rating when he started his presidency in January at a net approval of plus 2%. So 2% more Americans approved of him than disapproved of him. At this same point, Biden was ahead by 14. But in Donald Trump's first term, he was disapproved of at this point by 4%. So we went into this presidency thinking that he was in, a better position than his first term, and things might go a little different from his first term. Maybe Americans are liking up to him. But then, he even did better. He At one point he was at a plus 5% approval compared to minus 5 in his first term. But since then, it has been a gradual decline for Donald Trump in his administration, to a point where today he stands at a minus 16% approval. Remember, he started at plus 2. Months later, he has fallen to minus 16%. That means that 18% of Americans, plus 2 to minus 16, 18% of Americans have changed their mind on Donald Trump from January to October. Something like that is very, very, very rare to see. And what's really stunning about these numbers is that for quite a while now, Donald Trump has been more unpopular in his second term than in his first term. You could see this line here, this dotted line on the bottom here, was his first term. During the beginning part, from January to April, Donald Trump was doing far better this time around than he did in his first term. Far better. He was at minus 5 in February. He was at plus 5 in his second term. He was at minus 5 in his first term. He was doing 10 points better. Now he's doing worse. In his first term, he was down by 15%. Now he is down by 16%, disapproved of by a 16% margin. And just look at Joe Biden for a second, because Joe Biden, will go down as one of the more unpopular presidents in history. Donald Trump is doing way worse than Joe Biden right now. Biden was minus 7 at this point, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, this was after the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal, which tanked his approval rating right about here, where you see this dramatic dip. He was at minus 7. Donald Trump is already at minus 16. And you could see it so gradual. I mean, it has been really, steady going down. If you made a scatter plot of this, there would be a clear trend going down. And the thing is with Biden and other presidents to an extent as well, is that once they reach a rock bottom, there's not really, any rebounding. Like once Biden really hit the rock bottom from the Afghanistan withdrawal, he pretty much stayed there for the remainder of his presidency. He was never able to climb back up, and he was never really able to fall back below. But what we see here is that clearly the dysfunctional society that Donald Trump is contributing to and his administration is contributing to is having an effect. As more and more stuff happens, more and more Americans are being turned away. There's too much chaos. And as more chaos ensues, Donald Trump's approval continues to fall. It hasn't been one single event. Even though there should have been many events, there hasn't been one single event like there was for Afghanistan for Biden. For Donald Trump, it has been very gradual. It's as simple as this: people do not like this administration. It's really important to look where he is, because you've got 39% of Americans approving of him, 56% disapproving. And what's really significant is the fact that Donald Trump is inching closer and closer to his lowest possible floor of approval, and it's only October. Keep in mind, there is at least a third of Americans, maybe more like 35%, who are these hardcore MAGA Republicans. The type of people who will attend a Donald Trump rally. In most polls that hovers around about a third or 35% of Americans. In October, just less than a year after he's sworn in, he's still got 3 more years to go. He's already at 39%. His lowest possible floor is 33%. He is only 6% away from his absolute floor, which is really stunning. You know, you had Richard Nixon go through the scandal of the century. Now it would barely make the news, of course, that being Watergate. You had the scandal of the century for Richard Nixon, Watergate, in 1974. And still, in the final Gallup polls, right before he resigned, he had an approval rating of 24%. A quarter of Americans were still approving of him. Now, how would he perform in a general election? He would probably have had a lose, or he would have probably lost like all but 2 states, probably. So you could still have a good chunk of the American public supporting you, as we saw with Richard Nixon in 1972, and still perform horribly in a presidential election or a midterm election. So these numbers are just awful. And it gets even worse when you look by state. Look at this map that they give us. They give us the approval of Donald Trump in each individual state. In every state that is colored red, he is underwater. More people disapprove than approve. Okay? Only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 states out of 50 states. There are only 8 where Donald Trump has a positive approval rating. Just take the state of Arkansas, where he is approved of by 4.6%. He has a net approval there of 4.6%. Donald Trump won the state of Arkansas by 31%. And that's a 25-point trend in the disapproval section. It gets more crazy the more you look at the map. Wyoming, he has a 14-point net approval rating when you round. 14 points. Wyoming was the most Republican state in the country. He won it by 46%. Okay? You've got swing states that he won in 2024 now sharply turning against him. In Pennsylvania, he's now underwater by 12 points. In Michigan, he is underwater by 17 points. He won Michigan by 1.4% in the 2024 election. In Wisconsin, he's underwater by 15 points. In Arizona, he's underwater by 10. In Nevada, by 11. In Georgia, by 13. And in North Carolina, by 10. These are the crucial swing states Republicans will have to hold on to in 2026 if they want to retain control of the Senate, gubernatorial mansions, the House of Representatives, etc. It is absolutely stunning what we're seeing. This is the approval map, not right now, obviously, but based off the 2024 election. It's just if every Trump voter in 2024 approves of him, and every Harris voter in 2024 disapproves of him, this is what the map would be. It's just the 2024 election map, but instead of Democrat, you've got disapproval, and instead of Republican, you've got approval. It's just the same thing. This is where it would be just based off the votes. This is where he actually is. This is where he actually is. You have the entirety of the blue wall, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, likely margins for disapproval. Georgia and North Carolina were 10 points, I said. Arizona and Nevada were 10 points disapproval. But it gets much crazier than that. No, you've got Texas, a net approval of minus 19. Look at that, and this has to do a lot with Hispanic voters. Donald Trump is underwater in Texas by 19%. That is more than Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Even though Trump won Texas by 13% in 2024, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania by like 2% max. So Texas, we are seeing a rapid trend. This deserves its own video because this means a lot of Latino voters who voted for him, who changed sides and voted for him in 2024, are now sharply turning against him. That deserves its own video. But Texas is a safe margin for disapproval. That's insane. Of course, Oregon, all these Democratic states are going to be safe. I don't even have to look at the map. Rhode Island, Connecticut, they were likely in 2024. I would assume New Hampshire, yes, New Hampshire is a safe disapproval as well. What's Maine looking like? Maine, you've got minus 18. That is a safe margin disapproval. Look at Ohio and Iowa, two states that have become more Republican in recent years, both of which disapprove of him by a net minus 7 to 8. Those are likely margin disapprovals for him. In Minnesota, you've got a safe margin net disapproval there. Of course, and then you enter these states that are deep Republican that we never even talk about in political videos. Missouri, Indiana, Kentucky, Arkansas. Where does he stand in these states? Missouri, he's underwater. Kentucky, he's underwater, both by lean margins. Those never are won by Democrats. What about Indiana? Indiana, he's down by a likely margin. What about West Virginia? He's ahead by a likely margin. You never see West Virginia get down to likely territory. That in and of itself is good for the Democrats. You've got where else could we look? You've got Louisiana and Mississippi. Wow, I mean those Democrats never are even in contention of winning. Louisiana, he's down by a lean margin. Mississippi, just a tilt margin, of less than 1%. Moving on now, you've got Alabama. He's ahead in Alabama by a likely margin. But looking at South Carolina, he's down by a lean margin, 4.4% underwater. Tennessee, we said he's above by 8 points, and Arkansas by 4 points, a lean margin in Arkansas and a likely margin in Tennessee. What about Florida? Florida disapproves of him now. He won it by what, 13, I want to say? Yeah, 13% in 2020. He's now underwater by 6% there in Florida, a likely margin. Let's go up the Great Plains states. Sorry, I keep going to that tab. You've got Oklahoma. He's underwater by 8. That's insane. One of the most Republican states in the country. Oklahoma was one of the two states to give every single county to a presidential candidate. The other was Massachusetts for Kamala Harris. Oklahoma, every county voted for him in 2024. Now he's underwater by 8 points. In Kansas, he's underwater by 10 points. Nebraska, you've got him underwater in one of the most Republican states in the country, minus 1.4%, a lean margin disapproval there. In the Dakotas, where does he stand? In South Dakota, he's underwater. That is so insane. He's -3 in South Dakota, +6 in North Dakota, so likely margin there, and a disapproval in South Dakota. I mean, just look at how much red there is on this map. In Utah, he is approved of by a likely margin. But in Wyoming, Idaho, and Montana, Wyoming we went over, he's ahead by a likely margin in Wyoming. And then you've got Idaho, he's actually, oh, sorry, net approval was 21 points. Why did I think it was like 13? Um, Net approval is safe in Wyoming, safe in Idaho. And then in Montana, he's ahead by 7 points, a likely margin for him there. And then Alaska and Hawaii, of course. In Hawaii, he's -39, and in Alaska, he is -4. So look at that map. This is Donald Trump's approval rating in every state. Republicans are so beyond cooked. I mean, you cannot come back from this. Even Biden's wasn't this bad. He was still ahead in like California, the West Coast states, and Hawaii, and then New England, and New York, and New Jersey, and Maryland, and Delaware, and like maybe Illinois and Minnesota sometimes. At least Biden had something. The only states that approve Donald Trump still are where like 4 people live. It is not even funny for the Republican Party how beyond cooked they are for 2026. And it's the thing is I always go back to is Republicans might not even do as well as you think based off of these polls, because it's one thing to answer a poll and say, yeah, I support the president. Yeah, I'll turn out for Republicans in 2026. Or yeah, I'll vote Republican in 2026. But it's another thing to be so passionate about your party to actually turn out for them in the midterms, actually take time out of your day on election day to go out and vote for them in person rather than just answering a poll on your phone. So it's like, if Republicans are already doing bad in polling, they're going to do even worse on election day, because who wants to vote? Who wants what? If you're dissatisfied, if you're a Republican voter dissatisfied with the Trump administration and your party, what's motivating you to turn out in 2026? That is what I keep asking. If this Trump administration has personally affected you in any single way, if your SNAP benefits have been cut, if you were on Obamacare and that has been cut, and this is an increasing amount of people, by the way, who have been personally impacted by this administration. There is a 0% chance you are going to turn out and vote for them in 2026. A lot of them are so partisan. So many voters are so partisan, they might not even vote Democrat in spite of their party hurting them. They might not even turn out to vote Democrat, but I can assure you they will not turn out to vote Republican. And that is half a vote for Democrats. They're not flipping the voter, but they're making them stay home, and that's one less vote for the Republican Party. So this is shaping up to be a Democratic wave in 2026 as of now. And it's like, what is Trump going to do to make his approval better? It's not, I don't, it doesn't look like they're planning on doing anything great. Or unifying the country in any way. It's only going to go down from here. That's the only direction it could possibly go in. So thank you all for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to subscribe down below. That helps out a lot. Drop a like so this video does better in the algorithm, please. That really helps out a lot. And I will see you all later.